Hello, welcome to Sheffield Port Gamers official podcast. This is Rick. This is episode 13. I'm joined today by Samuel. Hello, Samuel.
Hi.
Hello, thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you again, speak to you.
Pleasure to be on.
We're still in the middle of lockdown, so things are still, all the pubs and clubs are still shut. So therefore the game club is still shut at the moment. So
yep.
We're still keeping things going with online games and people chatting on the forums and things like that. But meetings in person are not going at the moment, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully things will start changing soon, but to what extent, it's all up in the air, isn't it? We don't know what's happening, so it's hard to tell at the moment what's going to happen.
It's a shame.
And how things are going to pan out in the future. So, yeah, it's especially in a hobby like this where you're kind of passing stuff backwards and forwards, you're sitting in close proximity to other people as well, like around a table.
It is very much a hobby that is, best or mostly done face to face, and with other people for the majority of it. So it is quite affected quite a lot by, the COVID situation and the lockdown.
It is. I've been playing a few online games, but I do find it's better face to face. It's more, more engaging and more personal.
Yeah, I mean, I
do prefer that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit lucky because my girlfriend is also very into board games. She's come to the club a few times, and so we've been playing a lot on Board Game Arena, but FaceTiming at the same time so we can talk to each other.
Right.
At the same time, we FaceTime every day. We always play some form. We always play board games of one sort or another, either on there or on the iPad or wherever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same situation I'm in with Tracy, my wife. We obviously live together, and But there was an interesting poll on Board Game Geek. So this was a question that got asked, and people have obviously replied to that. And so the question is, have you been gaming in person more or less? So the majority, as you would expect, is much less.
Yeah.
44% of people said much less.
Okay.
I'm myself and you, maybe as well, Samuel. I don't know. You can probably tell me. We're probably the other side. I'm probably gaming more. With Tracy, I'm on furlough at the moment, and so is Tracy. So we've been doing jobs around the house, and we had a couple of nice days of weather, so been doing a bit of gardening and things like that. But to pass the time as well, we've been playing games. So I've been playing games nearly every day for the past few weeks. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've probably been playing board games more often than I have been because I've been chatting to Zoe and my girlfriend every day, and we've been playing games there, which. If we would have been able to see each other, she'd come to stay for a couple of days or whatever, and then we wouldn't chat so much, all the times in the week when she wasn't here because we wouldn't need to. Probably wouldn't play as much.
So on this poll, only 2% put much more. The gaming much more in person.
Okay.
And then somewhat more was 12%. So there are a few people that are getting more games in one way or another.
Yeah, that's gaming in person now. I haven't been doing any more gaming in person. I've been doing a lot less gaming in person. It's all been online. Yeah. So if you're asking specifically about in person, then that'd be a very different answer actually.
Yeah, it does specifically say in person. Yeah. Yeah.
So actually that would be, for you actually it wouldn't be because you've obviously been with your wife. But in my case it would be completely different because all of mine's been online basically.
Yeah, so we've been trying a few different games, some that we wouldn't usually bother playing with. We usually play once a week or once a fortnight anyway. So playing every day, obviously we need a bit of variety in there. So we've been playing a few different games. So we're going to talk about some of those short lists, some games that we've been playing. Another thing I wanted to mention that that's been in the news is most of the conventions and most of the meetings have been cancelled now, as was kind of pretty much expected. A lot of the big ones are being cancelled and postponed. So Gen Con, BGG Con, Essen's cancelled. Dice Tower East, that's been cancelled. Most are planning for a 2021 meeting of some sort.
Yeah.
How that's actually going to pan out, we don't know yet. How things are going to change, if they are going to change, I guess it depends. These are sort of conventions that are all over the world. So some places might be hard hit or differently hit than others. You can't just say that everything's going to be the same. But it's difficult to see how, even in a year's time, if things are going to be different, if things are going to change, how it's going to affect things.
We can't predict what it's going to be like in a year and how well these things could go ahead at that point. Yeah, next weekend it would have been this year's UK Games Expo. That's next weekend from when we're talking. Yeah. But that obviously last I heard it got moved to August, but it may have may well have got cancelled since then. I don't know.
So people have obviously paid for hotels and travel and things like that. So there's a lot of people trying to claim back.
I'd planned to go cancel my hotel, although I hadn't actually paid for it. I'd only booked it, so I cancelled that, and I bought my ticket already, so I got the money back for that because when they changed the date, they said by a particular date, if you didn't indicate that you still wanted your ticket, they would refund you. So I went for that because I decided it was just too unknown as to what was going to happen. I didn't really want to. I didn't think it was, it was too unknown to know what's going to happen. I don't really want to be booking things at the moment.
So a lot of the bigger ones can probably absorb the cost of, postponing it and putting it to the next year. But
yeah,
I'm guessing that there's a few smaller ones that will probably be struggling or might not have an easier time to rearrange things as, the bigger conventions would be.
Well, Aircon got very lucky because I went to Aircon with the weekend just before everything shut down, basically. Yeah,
that was just before, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last. I mean, that's basically after I got back. That was the week when everything stopped closing. That was the week. That was the first week we didn't. Board games was off. Was that Tuesday? After that was the first time. So I mean, I bought loads of games at Aircon. I haven't played any of them yet.
Oh, no.
I played 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because I've played a couple of them on the following weekend. But they've all been sitting there since then, mostly, which is unfortunate. Oh well. But yeah, I mean, it's a good job it wasn't even a week later, or else it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But I didn't suffer any ill effects from going there. Well, if I didn't get COVID, it was completely symptomless, but I feel like I probably didn't. I don't know if anybody else did who went there.
Yeah, that's one of the common things I've sort of read and heard about is the feeling a bit rough after you get back from these kind of places. Whether it's because of the aircon or the travel or whatever it might be, it's people find that they're usually suffering afterwards with sort of colds and snuffles and things like that. So you were okay, were you?
Yeah, I was fine.
Good.
Get ill with anything.
Yeah.
But I'm the kind, I don't tend to get ill very easily. I very rarely have days off for being ill.
That's another thing as well. Obviously, we're fit and healthy, and looking okay at the moment. But there are people who are going to be either vulnerable to these sort of things, or live with people who are vulnerable. So who even if things do open up in the short term, they'll not want to go back.
No, exactly.
And start meeting. So, one of the things that people have been saying on the forums and stuff is that they're more likely to start off gaming with people that they know, so like close friends or people in a small group. So probably 4 or 5 people maybe will get together at somebody's house rather than going to a club as such and sort of meeting up with other people. They don't necessarily meet them every day.
Yeah.
So that might be one way forward, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah,
and of course online gaming.
Yeah, so should we talk about some games?
Online, and then don't have to go near anybody. You don't have to touch any components or cards or anything that other people have been coughing and spluttering on.
That's true. That is a big factor. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but things are obviously going to have to change some way or another. So in other news, we've been playing Star Realms. We've been playing a competition on the forum. Against each other, so that's drawing to a close now. So I think there's still a couple of games left to go, but we're nearly.
It's the last round.
Yeah.
The last round.
So you're doing well again?
I'm currently playing position to win. I'm topping the table, and I am 2 points ahead of my nearest challenger. So if I avoid defeat, I become the champion, and even if I lose, there's got to be. I'm exactly. Rather coincidentally, exactly 100 authority difference. 100 authority head.
Yeah.
Authority difference-wise, so there'd have to be quite a big swing for me to not be triumphant, even if I lost. Anything's possible.
Yeah,
I've had some interesting results this in this tournament. Some surprises,
it's been good. It's the first one that I've played in. I didn't join in the other ones, but I'm glad I did join in on this one because it's been really good fun.
Yeah.
I think the stakes, because the stakes are a bit higher, and you're actually playing. If you're playing in a longer term competition, it makes it a bit more interesting when you're actually playing the game.
It is. Yeah, it is.
If you're just playing, either online against a random person, or if you're just playing against a computer, you're not bothered if you lose. You can try different things, and you're just playing to sort of waste time. But I found that playing, like playing in a competition, it makes you. Yeah. It makes you stop, take your time a bit more and maybe plan out your moves a bit more than you would usually.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've found. I've been going, right, which of the, even at the start of the game, like, which of these cards should I take? I don't want to end up taking the wrong thing, or what should I do here? What should I do there? But it is, I mean, this is the second time I've been in. I was the champion last time, so
yes, you were.
It seems to be one of my better games. I have played it quite a lot I've only been playing it for about a year or so. No, sorry, 2 years, because we didn't have one last year. 2 years ago, the competition, which is, I mean, that one started not long after I started playing the game, really. But I've been playing it quite a lot since then, because it's it's a nice way to kill time. You can jump straight in because it's it's not got a huge amount of rules or complexity. It's about as simple as a deck building game is going to get with you're trying to kill the other person, attacking them. You've got attacking, you've got healing yourself, and you've got money, and that's it. That's the 3 different resources, currencies, whatever, if you like, of the game. So you buy cards and you make their better, and then you attack the other person. It's very simple, and it's got a very nice combo system, which I really, really like. And the games can be very varied. I've got quite a few of the expansion packs as well, so that obviously adds quite a few new different cards. So you can
I picked up a couple of those as well. Yeah.
So you can get mix and match case and swap out some for other ones and things.
Yeah, they do add a bit of variety in there. Don't they? Yeah.
And then the campaign missions as well. If you've got the digital version, add a bit of difference as well.
Yeah, they're good fun as well. I quite enjoy doing those. Yeah,
a bit of variety, slightly different rule sets and starting cards and things. But I just quite like it.
Yeah, it's a really good app, isn't it? We mentioned it before, but it's good.
You never quite know what sort of deck you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with a lot of red cards or green cards, or you're going to be really damagey. You're going to have a lot of healing. You're going to make the opponent discard lots of things, or what? It's it's quite nice. But it's quite quick. I mean, it takes 5-10 minutes to play a game if you play against the AI, or if you're doing turns after the other, so it's quite nice. So, but I've been thinking that's my moves. But I think I've got a bit lucky as well in the tournament this year, because I had in the middle of the season I had 3 consecutive games where I got knocked down to 1 health, and so the person only needed 1 more damage to kill me, but they didn't. In fact, the third of those was perhaps the most unlucky, because I was only on 8 health before I got knocked down. So they only you needed 8 damage and you could only do 7, which is so unfortunate. So I got very fortunate, because I could easily have lost all 3 of them. And then in each case I managed to win basically on my next turn or the one after. Pretty much the next turn, I think. That was very fortunate. That could have been very different.
Yeah, it seems to be quite well balanced in that once one player gets down to like 10 or below life, that's pretty much the game over then. There's only like 1 or more turns left to go.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Unless you can get your game back up a little bit.
Both decks are ramping up at that point, so either one or the other's going to win.
Yeah.
At that point.
But yeah, it's been good again.
Yeah, it has been good. And I quite like the strategy that other people employ as well. So if you play the AI, you kind of get to know what cards it likes to go for, and what strategy it goes for. But with a human, it's a bit different. You kind of you can't. It's not as predictable, and it's a bit more varied in what the plans are.
Yeah,
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I quite enjoyed that side of it as well. Yeah.
That's a good way of keeping occupied in lockdown as well. It was a good time to do it.
Yeah.
So thanks to Tom, really Tom, who set that up.
Yeah.
He's been doing the tables and everything.
Yeah, thanks Tom.
If last time there's anything to go by, I'll probably produce some statistics again.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. That'll be interesting.
Okay, what else have you been playing, Rick?
Been playing a few games. Like I say, a couple online, a couple with Tracy. One game that I played recently that I really enjoyed is one called Twilight Struggle. The actual board game itself is from 2005, designed by Ananda Gupta and Jason Matthews. It takes between 120 and 180 minutes, but I think it's a lot shorter online. I don't think it takes that long online. I've actually played the app version, so there's an app which is nice. So got like nice music and sound effects and stuff, and it's all nice graphics, and all the cards are in there, all the artwork and everything. So I played that a couple of times online. It's a 2-player game. It's just 2-player, and it's about the Cold War between the Soviet Union and the United States. If you look at the board and you just look at this in passing, it looks like a war game. Those really old-fashioned ones with like hexes on and like little square counters. It looks like one of those, but it's nothing like that really. It's more of a card, it's driven by the cards really. It's the 3 deck of cards, early war, mid-war and late war. So you start off with the early war ones, and then you move on to the mid-war ones. Mm-hmm. And each card is pretty much unique and has multiple uses. So you can use it to put influence out on the board, and you're trying to control certain areas of the board. You can use it for the events, so each card has its own specific event that'll do like major things. Mm-hmm. You can use it to put towards a space race. There's like a space race track at the top. But the interesting thing about it is kind of a bit of back and forth, because when you use a card for influence, let's say for example your opponent will get something out of it as well. So there are 3 different kinds of cards. There's Soviet cards, United States cards, and then neutral ones, which either side can use. Mm. So if I'm playing the United States and I use a Soviet Union card, they get to use the event, which is usually pretty good on their side. And similarly, if they play one that's a United States one, I'll get the benefit of the event. So every time you put some influence out on the board, you're giving your opponent a little bit of a leeway and a bit of an edge as well on that direction. So it is a struggle. It's like, I'm doing something good for myself, but I'm giving you a little bit as well. And you kind of have to plan it out so that it doesn't, they don't get as much out of it as you do. There's also another interesting thing about it is that there's different ways to win the game as well. Mm-hmm. So in the early game, I didn't know this, but Christos, who I was playing against, he explained this to me. In the early game, if you're playing the Soviet Union, if they get control of Europe, they just automatically win. Yeah, so it can be over in like half an hour.
Yeah.
It's a race to 20 points, so if somebody gets to 20 points, you win. If you cause a nuclear war, you lose automatically. So there's certain cards that there's a DEFCON track at the top that drops down, and if you play certain cards, that'll cause you to lose the game. Mm-hmm. And also there's some game-ending cards in the end game as well. So towards the end of the war, you get some cards where you can just automatically win as well. So you can win by playing it out and getting the 20 points, but you can also win by just jumping ahead and hitting one of these other triggers. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic game. I'm not really much one for politics and history and things like that, but I found the theme is really good and really interesting. And it kind of encouraged me to Wikipedia some of the cards, to see what the history behind them and stuff, because they're all based on real events. So you can look up the history of them and find out, a bit more information about them. It's ranked number 8 on Board Game Geek, so it's the number 8 best board game according to Board Game Geek. So it's really popular. A lot of people like it, and it's a really good game. I really enjoyed it.
Good. I've never actually played it because I think really it's the theme puts me off a bit. I'm not really into war as a theme.
No, me either. That's probably one of the reasons I've never played the real game. I've only played it online because of the theme of it and the background of it. It never really appealed to me. But when I actually got to play it, I did find I found it interesting and quite thematic, based on you're not just playing cards. You're actually doing the things that it says on the cards, and they do affect the game. Okay. In the way that the cards would. Uh-huh. You'd expect them to in the game itself. So it affects the mechanics the way that you'd expect it to. So
okay.
But it's really interesting, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm probably going to play it again at some point. Okay. I think the online one is a lot quicker.
Yeah.
It says on the Board Game Geek there is 120 to 180 minutes. We played 2 games in about 2 hours.
Okay.
We played one game, and then we played again straight afterwards. So it's a lot quicker online.
On
the app.
Still a lot of the micromanagement.
There's a lot of tracking of counters and influences and stuff that I think slows it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Which you don't get online. It obviously does all that, and it does all the scoring and everything for you as well. So it is a lot quicker online.
And that's probably true of a lot of games, though. Really,
the
ones are because you don't have to do the shuffling or the management or the setup or the whatever. So.
Yeah, it takes a lot of care of all that for you. But it was really good. I enjoyed it. Worth checking out if you get a chance, especially on the app. You can play against the AI, you can play against a computer, or you can play against human opponents. Definitely check that one out.
Good. I've been playing mostly on Board Game Arena and with my girlfriend. Well, for a bit we went through the cycle of various games we knew, like Kingdomino and Stone Age and things like that. But after a while, we're getting a little bit bored of them because it was about 8 or 9 games or something that we were playing. There's about 180 on there now, and so we sort of had a look around had a look at what games they got and to see if we could learn some new games. And one we came across is a game called Sobek, which is by GameWorks, says on the box. Came out in 2010. It's 2 to 4 bits. Designed by Bruno Cathala, actually.
Oh. Okay.
Published by Asmodee and GameWorks. 2 to 4 players, and it is essentially like a set collection game, really. At the beginning of the game, you get a row of 9 cards that gets laid out, and each round has that one of those rows. Or you go through the whole row, then it gets repeated about 5 times, and that's one round. And the game lasts 3 of those, although it can finish after the second one, potentially. So on your turn, you've got this row of 9 cards, and they all have sort of a different type of good on them, basically. The theme is kind of trading in ancient Egypt at the markets. So they've got things like fish, or marble, or ebony, or cattle, or whatever, things like that. And on your turn, you choose one of the 4 leftmost cards in the row. If you take the first one, there's no penalty. If you take the second, third, or fourth one, then any cards you didn't take to the left of the one you took go in your corruption pile, and that's bad. You want that to be as small as possible, because at the end of the round, the person with the most corruption will lose probably quite a lot of points. You'll lose an amount of points based on how many points you've got. And the scoreboard has got different symbols on it. It's got, I think there's a blank one, but then there's 4 different symbols on it. There's a scarab and a snake and something else. And so you go back, if you after you've done your scoring, if you've landed on a scarab, say, then you'd move back a certain number of scarabs based on how many points you scored that round. And you move back 1 thing for every 10 points you scored in the round, so you can suddenly lose a lot of points if you get corruption, so you don't really want that. But then there are ways of potentially getting rid of it. Because as well as the goods cards, there are also character cards which do various things, so they might get rid of some corruption from your corruption pile, get rid of all the cards of one resource type, for example. Or they do all the things like, I need to take a card from anywhere in the row, or forcing an opponent to discard cards to go to their corruption pile, things like that. And then so you're collecting these cards, and the idea is when you've got at least 3 that are of the same type, you can put them down as a set to score points. And the set scores points for the number of cards in the set multiplied by the number of scarabs on those cards in total. The different sets have got different values, so they go from 1 scarab to 3 scarabs. Although not all the cards of that good type will have scarabs on, so the fish ones have got, say, 1 scarab on, but you'll have some with 1 and some with none. So you might end up with, I don't know, 6 cards, of which there are 4 have got 1 scarab, so that would be 4 times 6 is 24 points for that set.
Alright, yeah. And
that's one thing I quite like, actually. I like the scoring system where you have something multiplied by something else, because you can sort of, if you get the right combination of things, you can suddenly get quite a lot of points from it, which is quite good. I mean, in a way, it's a bit like the Kingdomino scoring system of size of area times crowns in area. It's a bit like that. Size of set times scarabs in set. And there is also a card called Amulet, which basically is like a wild card that can go in any set. It doesn't have any scarabs on it, but it obviously increases the size of the set. And then once you put a set down, it's not necessarily finished, because you could add to it later if you've got another 3 cards that go on it. And then there's a character that allows you to add 1 or 2 instead of needing the full 3 to extend the set, so that's quite good. But yeah, that's basically it. So then the game ends when you've had, so you have the first row of 9 cards, and you have another one, then another one, until the deck's run out. And it's when in a 2-player game, you have 1. I think you would have 6 of those, but in a 2-player game, you have 5. You take 9 cards off the top of the deck, so you don't quite use them all, which is adds a little bit of variety. And then you would say that would be 1 round, and then you do that twice more, unless someone's got more than 100 points after round 2, in which case whoever's got the most points wins at that point. Otherwise, you go into 3rd round, then it's most points wins again. But I mean, it's not hard to get points. On one occasion I had over 100 points after the 1st round. Never mind the second one.
All right.
But we still have to do the second round. But it depends whether it can depend whether or not you get corruption quite a bit. So avoiding that, it's basically whoever's got the most corruption gets the corruption. So as long as you've not got the most, you're fine. There's also, when you put sets down, the first 5 times people put sets down, you can take a token which gives you a little extra bonus. So it might be putting a couple of extra scarabs in a low value set, or taking all the cards out of your corruption pile, which is quite nice, or giving somebody 2 extra corruption as a token, or moving somebody your score forward to the next of a symbol, moving the other person's score back, or everyone else to go back to the previous one of the same symbol, things like that. Or have another turn is another one. But you don't know what they are at the start of each round, because you get 5 each round and they're face down. And then when you put a set down for the first time, you can look at the ones that are there. So then you'll know from then on. And then you get different ones that, there's about, I think you probably get them all across the 3 rounds of the game, because there's about 15 of those. So, yeah, but it's quite nice. It's fairly reasonably quick playing. I mean, online it was taking us maybe 20 minutes for a game.
And do you just play 2-player, or do you like play with other people?
Yeah, I've just been playing that 2-player. No, we've been playing 2-player. I mean, you can play with other people. We tend to just play me and Zoe. I mean, occasionally we have games with other people. We ended up in a big game of 6 Nimp the other. Yeah, it's quite good. But usually it's just me and Zoe. But yeah, I've quite like that one because it's nice and simple. There's not too much to it, but I like. There's a good. Should I take this card? Should I do that? What sets do I want to try and get? Can I get loads of points for this set? Do I want to get corruption there? I can get that character card because you can sort of see with 2-player. If you're just taking alternatives, alternately, I'm going to get that one and that one and that one and that one. Do I want them? Am I going to? And of course, if somebody doesn't take one and does something else instead, then suddenly you're getting different cards. And I don't know. It's quite nice. It's quite simple. But there's a fair bit of tactics.
Yeah, I've not heard of that one. I'll have to have a look at that. It looks alright.
Yes, I hadn't before we came across it. It's
It's quite an old one. It's from it's not old. It's from 2010.
2010.
So it's 10 years old. It's not one that I've seen in real life. It's not one that I've played.
No, me neither.
That's a good thing about Board Game Arena. You can try some of these, can't you? You can try some of the games and see what they're like. And,
there's quite a lot on there that I've not come across before. It's quite a nice little game. It's got some, you can get quite big scores in it, which I quite I don't know. I quite like that in the game. I quite like games where you sort of feel like if you've done well, you're going to have a score that kind of matches that. Yeah,
that reflects it. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of reflects that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I quite like that. I quite like sort of feeling like if you've done well, your end situation sort of reflect that somehow.
Yeah.
It's all fun and annoying. If you've done really, really well, then you've won by 2 points.
Yeah.
The game was just artificially close. It's a bit like, that must be a point. I put all that effort in to win by 2. And I've only done slightly better than somebody who didn't put anywhere near as much effort in. It still a bit, why did I bother? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it keeps it close and you don't end up destroying everybody, but there should be at least some of that, I think.
No, it's fun, isn't it? It's fun having it sort of build up and just score loads of points in one, like have a massive turn and you get everything in one go kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've got 60 points for a set before. Depends which cards you get and things.
I might have to check one out. Yeah, sounds good.
Quite nice, yeah.
Well, another game that I wanted to talk about is another Bruno Cathala game, funnily enough, one called Kingdomino, which you mentioned already.
Yes.
I think we might have talked about this before.
We have, I think, yes.
But I've been playing it with Tracy, 2-player. I've played it at the club a few times. I played it 4-player, and I didn't think it would really work as a 2-player game. But I read the instructions, and I thought, I'll get it out and we'll give it a go and see what if Tracy likes it. She generally likes kind of tile-laying games, where you build something up and you lay tiles down and you have to find the right place to put them and things like that. So she generally likes those kind of games. And so we gave it a go, give Kingdomino a go, and it works really well. It works surprisingly well. It's a really good 2-player game.
Yeah, I'll possibly concur.
You get 2 kings instead of just the one that you normally get. And you still get the choice of 4 dominoes, which one you want. But you get 2 of those, and then your opponent will get the other 2. And then 4 more come out, and you can pick which one of the one. You're basically trying to build up a 5x5 grid of dominoes that all link together and score you points. Yeah. So there's different land types. Some of them have a crown on one of the tiles, or maybe more than one crown. And at the end of the game, you multiply the crowns by the number of squares of that land type that are adjacent to each other, and that's your score. Yeah, you're a bit of a fan of this, don't you? You've got the expansion, and I think I played Kingdomino at the club as well. Yeah,
I guess because I talked about the expansion on the previous episode.
So I've only got the base game, but which I think for me is fine. But I probably would want the expansion to play it more than a few times to get a bit more enjoyment out of it, a bit of variety in there.
Yeah, in fact, actually, it was you that actually introduced me to the game because we played it about. I think it was 2 years ago when everyone else was at the UK Games Expo at the sort of the small June Sunday session.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Because I think you just bought it, I think, so it just come out then.
Yeah, it's one of those quick filler type games. It doesn't take very long. Probably takes about 15 minutes if you're playing 2-player. Probably take a bit longer if you're playing 3 or 4-player.
Yeah.
It's what we usually do as well is we add a bit of strategy to it because there's 48 tiles in the box and you play with 24.
Yeah.
So what we do is we play with those 24 and then we'll put those aside and then play with the next 24, the other set of tiles.
Okay.
So we know some of the tiles which have come out already, and you can kind of work out.
Okay, so you can kind of plan
if some are going to be more common than other ones, that adds a little bit to it.
Yeah.
Tracy just likes putting them all, trying to make a perfect square and trying to get the most score out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I quite enjoyed doing that. It's quite a nice challenge because it's always a bit different because of the order they come out and which ones you're going to get.
You try to put these dominoes together, and there's certain rules about where you can place them, and you can't. You have to place it next to adjacent land types that are the same.
Same, yeah. As long as one side of one of the squares
one that matches
the same, yeah.
If you're not careful, you can kind of miss out on the last tile because you might have one square at the bottom of your map and then one at the top where you can't actually fill it in. Once you've played it a couple of times, it's quite easy to avoid that. But the first few times you play it, it's something you just need to look out for. But it's easy to get around it once you've played it a couple of times. The expansion adds quite a lot to it, doesn't it? It adds giants that you can move around and place on other people's land.
Depending on it has a few extra tiles that will make giants come out or will chase giants away to other people.
And you get that nice box to put them all in.
Yeah, the box is quite useful. They come out. It works really well actually. They come out the bottom quite nicely.
Yeah. So we've played it a few times and we've quite enjoyed it. Like I say, for 2 players, it is really quick. It plays 15-20 minutes. I think we might give it a go. There's a couple of variants in the box where you can build a 7x7 grid instead.
Yeah, I highly recommend the 7x7.
Yeah.
That's it's Kingdomino is mine and Zoe's most played game on Board Game Arena by some distance.
Yeah.
It's one of her favourite games at the moment, and we've played it almost every time we've been on.
Yeah.
I've played. I joined about 2 months ago. I've been on Board Game Arena about 2 months. I must have played it about 60 times nearly in that time. She's played it a bit more than me because she sometimes plays against other people when we're not chatting other times. But we always put 7x7 on because you use all the tiles and it's a much you've got a bigger space to work with, so you've got a bit more. There's you're not going to run out of space as easily, and you've got you can get bigger areas, and so you get bigger scores, obviously.
Yeah. I might give that a go.
Usually into the 100s, very occasionally into the 200s. But it's definitely a slightly different challenge, but it's really, really good. I mean, I don't think I'd play 2-player with a 5x5. I mean, maybe doing half of them and half of the other ones, but that would only work if you've got the physical game. I don't think there's an option for that on Board Game Geek. And there's not a Board Game Arena, and there's no expansions on there either.
Right.
But you can put the Harmony in the middle castle on, which we always have them as well. But yeah, it's really good because it is. As much as it doesn't seem like there's much there, each game is different.
Yeah, it is.
And different enough to be, a quick game every so often. You won't sort of play 10 games in a row, but we play them maybe once a day, once every other day.
Yeah,
and that's been fine. It's quite good. Again, it's one you get very used to the rules, whether you can just jump straight in. You know exactly what you're doing. Which tile shall I have? Shall I go for that one because it's got some crown? Shall I go for that one because it's at the top and it can be first choice next time?
Yeah.
Do I want this? Do I want to go for that crown? And then there's the bit about, oh bugger, I put that in the wrong place and I've completely screwed myself. And they're miles. That goes with those two things, but they're miles apart. Help!
Yeah.
Can I get this forest all the way around here so it joins up with this other bit of forest I've got?
Yeah, it is nice. One thing I wanted to mention as well is the artwork. It's really well designed graphically. Looking from a distance, the tiles are really easy to tell apart. But if you look closely at them, some of them have got like funny little things on them. So there's stuff that I'm spotting now that I've had the game for probably a couple of years now since it came out, and there's still stuff I'm spotting on there that hidden in the little pictures that are quite funny. And like there's a guy fighting a spider in the forest, and there's like a guy walking with some massive boots on and stuff. It's there's some cool stuff in there.
I mean, I've seen like the dragon shadow and the Nessie shadow.
Yeah.
But not.
Yeah, have a look at the details in the pictures next time you play it. So it's quite good.
Yeah.
So that's another game we'll be playing. That is Kingdomino.
Yes, another new one that me and my girlfriend came across that we've since played quite a lot. And again, it's a game that's completely new to me that I hadn't come across at all before, physically or digitally. It's a game called Dragonheart, and this is a 2-player only game. And hang on, who's it by? Dragonheart. It came out in 2010. It is by Rudiger Dawn, and it's published by Cosmos. It's kind of a hand management point scoring game. So there's a board, and then each player gets a set of 50 cards, which are basically the same set of 50 cards each. And you shuffle them, and you start with 5 in your hand. And then the board has about 9 or 10 places to put cards on. So you've got things like the Huntress and the Troll. It's kind of the idea is you sort of fighting this, the sort of the theme is like you're fighting this kind of fantasy war type thing. You're sort of two sides of this war. you've got like the Huntress and Dragons and treasure and things like that. And the idea is that, generally, is that putting cards in certain places means you can take cards from other places. But of course, you've got to put the cards in those places to be able to take them in the first place. So things like the treasure and somewhere else. I think it's the Petrified Dragon space. A couple of spaces where you put cards on, that they don't do anything. They're just there to then be taken. But it's sort of quite good. So you've got, I think it's the Sorceress can take cards from 2 different spaces. Then there's the Troll, which can take the Sorceress cards. Then you've got the Knight as well, which then takes either the Sorceress or the Troll. And then you've also got the Dragon, which takes the treasure, as well as the Sorceress taking the treasure. And then you've got the Huntress, which takes the Dragon. So you've got cards that take all the cards in different combinations and chains and things, which is quite good. But also, some spaces, if you put 1 card there, it takes them. Other spaces need 2 or 3 or even 4 cards before they actually, before the taking essentially activates. So, for example, you need 3 Huntress cards to take whatever's on the Dragon space. But then you get all the cards that were on there, which is quite nice. So it doesn't, so on the spaces where it's just 1 card, that doesn't mean it's full. That just means there's a card there. So that you can end up taking a big stack of cards if you do it right. But it's quite good because there's a bit of balance about, shall I pull that on there? Because if I put that on there, they might have one that then completes that, so then they take what's on there. Shall I put that on there? Because they might just nick it straight away. Can I do this? Can I do that? And then the game carries on. There's a section with 3 ships, and basically, when you fill that up, you take the Huntresses and the Knights, go to like a little discard pile type thing, and if you put the 3 ships down, you get all the ones that are in there, which can often be quite a few cards. And when you put 3 ships down 3 times, that's the last turn, and the other person has a turn, I think, and then it ends. Or if somebody's deck completely runs out, then it ends as well, which has happened a handful of times when we've played it. But it's really nice. It's a little 2-player game. I mean, again, it's sort of 15-20 minutes. Oh, in fact, actually, online, it's been taking us probably 10 minutes at the most, actually, because we've been whizzing through it. Because the turn is, I'm going to play. You play 1 or more cards of the same type to a particular space, and that's your turn, and then take any cards that you're allowed to take, if there are any. So it's kind of, so which you've got a decision as to which cards do you put down. The only slight other thing is that there's one space is the Petrified Dragon space, and if you put the card down that actually take from there, you get a little dragon thing. That means you've got an extra card in your hand, and you get 3 points for it at the end. But then if somebody else takes some dragons, they get the other person takes some dragons. They get the little figure and the 6-card thing and whatever. And then whoever ends up with it gets 3 extra points. That's a little bit of a tug of war thing. And then the scoring is when you take cards that have got numbers on from 1 to 4, and you get that many points for that card. And then it's most points at the end is the winner. But it's quite nice because you can sort of, I'm going to go there. Oh, I've grabbed all those cards. Yay! Yeah. Or you go, I don't want to go there because they could probably do that. If I go there, then they could do that. If I go here, then they can do that. Help! What do I play? Or you go, well, this isn't very helpful. Like all I've got is the same card 4 times. This isn't very useful. And so it's about trying to, kind of almost like seed the board a bit. So I'm going to put that there and that there. So then I can take that one, then I can take this. But hoping the other person doesn't take them in the meantime. You can say, I've got that one and that one, so I can put that one down and hopefully take it with that one on my next turn if they don't take it in the meantime. Yeah. Which is quite good. But it's a nice little it's 2-player only. Yeah. It's really nice.
I'm just having a look at the pictures on this. It does look really nice. It looks like a fantasy kind of Lord of the Rings kind of artwork on it. It looks really good.
Yeah, it's fantasy kind of. Yeah.
Looking at the board, it's got like little arrows on as well. Are the arrows tell you what?
Yeah, that's the cards that take the different things. Yeah. Easy. So the card takes that. There's a bit of this takes this, that takes that, and then they go down there. The two are curving arrows, so they go down there when they're being used.
So do you have like your own cards, or is it just like one deck and you get dealt cards?
Yeah, each player has their own identical 50-card deck.
Ah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a nice little game which we just came across. I was just browsing the games and found this one and looked at it. Thought, well, that's quite nice actually. Yeah. Had a quick read of the rules and thought that's quite simple and quite clever. So
if you're looking for a game and you've not played it before, what do you do? Do you look at a video like how to play, or do you just download?
Well, I have a look at the game on Board Game Arena, and then we look at the rules and see, have a look at what it looks like on Board Game Arena and what the rules are, and go, does this look like something I would perhaps want to learn at this point? Right. Right. That kind of thing. So I probably wouldn't want to learn something that's horrifically long. Yeah. But I mean, this one and Sobek were both fairly short and fairly easy to pick up. So it was, I mean, once we played this a couple of times, we've got the hang of it. And again, you can just go straight to it and know exactly what you're doing. Right, I'm going to put this one here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to But there's quite a bit of interaction and strategy in that one.
Yeah, that was cool. I like the look of that one.
Yeah. I mean, we've had quite a few times we've played it sort of 2 or 3 times in a row. Because we played it, it's very quick.
That's another one I need to check out. Yeah. I wonder if these are still available anywhere. I wonder if you can pick them up.
Probably, they're probably around somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, those two are both on Board Game Arena, so you can give them a try.
Yes, very good. Yeah, so question of the week. Do you play any fighting fantasy games? So the fighting fantasy games are the Choose Your Own Adventure books. You probably remember from when you were a kid. I do. Certainly had a few when I was younger. The reason that I put this on here was because I went to a book signing by Ian Livingstone, who was obviously the author of with Steve Jackson of one of the original ones. But there are absolutely loads now. You know, there's different authors. Joe Denver, I think, does a few. Yeah,
the Lone Wolf series is a separate one.
There's quite a few modern ones out. Yeah, they do the Lone Wolf ones. There's ninja type ones. There's apocalypse ones. There's all sorts, and that kind of system is making its way into board games as well a little bit now. So some big games have like a big book, don't they? You can go down and
with the seventh continent in particular.
If you do this, then turn to this page and read this paragraph, and this happens. And the escape room games are kind of based on a similar sort of thing as well, where you know, if you do a certain thing, you'll go on to the next bit, which will give you something else. Yeah, and then the seventh continent, which is choose your own path, so you decide what you're going to do, and that's almost the most. I've not played that one, but that looks quite good. Yeah, in-depth me and my girlfriend have played through a lot of one of the curses. It was quite good fun, sort of, where, you know, because it's cooperative. You're deciding together where you want to go, which card you want to do, and do you want to explore this or do that, and you're trying to manage your health and using items and things. It is quite like one of those in kind of like one sort of a fighting fantasy type book in game form. Well, there's not that much combat. In fact, we've not really had any combat yet, but I know there is certainly some, because there's various creatures and things. I've only had a little bit, but that's perhaps where it differs the most. But there's a lot more sort of exploration and survival than perhaps there would be in a fighting fantasy book or a Lone Wolf or whatever. So these books are still in print. You can still get them now. And like I said, there are modern ones coming out as well. There are new ones that are coming out. Yeah, there's modern. There are reprints and special collector's editions that you can get. Yeah, I think the original ones are a bit hard to find. I mean, I got lucky because about 5.5 years ago, I found and bought a job lot on eBay of all of the original gold title thingy fighting fantasy books from 1 to, I think it was 1 to 51, I think it was, something like that. Yeah. And so I've got I've swapped out 1 or 2 because I had some already, and I've had a better version of another one. So I've got them all on a shelf downstairs with a couple of D6 bookends which I found last year. Oh wow, which is quite nice, rather appropriate. Yeah. So but I've only played a few of them though. Yeah, I've played a few, but I've never actually finished one. Not without cheating anyway. I started trying to sort of do them in order. I don't know if I've actually quite. I think I've sort of finished I know I might have finished 2 or 3 maybe. I'm not sure. The first one, the Warlock of Fire Top Mountain, I've kind of. I finished. I slightly cheated because I'd gone through it a few times before I actually finished it, and I sort of had to do. I think I sort of found something on a previous attempt to know which page to turn to at some point. Because I think part of that is you've got to find 3 numbers that tell you which page to turn to eventually, or something. There's bits about slightly cheated in the sense that I did something that I should have been able to do if I was only using the information gained on that run. I think I'd used sort of information or something I'd gained on a prior run to on a previous player jump slightly or know where I was supposed to go when I shouldn't be guessing or whatever. But the second one I've tried many times and not got anywhere near finishing it. It's usually the combat that gets me. It's usually the fighting the monsters. I can never kind of get the dice to roll in my favour enough to win. And I think you have to sort of hunt around for potions and stuff to get your health back, don't you? I kind of miss all those. So I don't get very far in them, but I do enjoy playing them. I enjoy getting one out every now and then and just getting a pad and a couple of dice and working my way through it. I've introduced a couple of friends to them, and including my girlfriends, and they seem to like them. So, any particular favourites? I've not played many of them. The second one, actually, even though I've struggled with it, I quite like. There's quite a lot of good choices in it, and things, different places to go, and all kinds of passages and stuff. It seems quite full of stuff, which is quite nice. Another one I remember was, I think it's number 11, something like the House of Hell, which is sort of set in this kind of like almost a stereotypical kind of
fantasy horror, House of Horror type thing. Where you sort of, ended to put it because your car's broke down or whatever. It was kind of a very standard opening of you broke down, you found this really spooky house, and you start just outside it, and the whole thing's in his house trying to escape it or whatever. So that was, I don't know, that one seemed to work quite well.
I quite like the science fiction, so one of my favourites was the Starship Traveller one.
Okay,
that was a good one. Very, very Star Trek based. Obviously based on that kind of theme, and the similar sort of characters and things like that. That was a good fun one. Yeah, travelling around the galaxy. I can't remember the exact story now, but you.
I have to. Yeah. I've not tried a sci-fi one yet, so I'll have to.
And then another one that I played recently is Blood of the Zombies. This is one of the newer ones.
Oh yeah. It was a vague book.
That's quite it's not the last one, maybe the one before, I think, that he wrote. This is slightly different in that you're killing zombies. So zombies traditionally in like D&D and stuff, the level 1 monsters that you can just poke with a sword and kill them.
Yeah, they're quite slow.
They're a step up from rats, basically. So this game book is quite interesting because it changes the rules slightly. You get scored on how many zombies you've killed. So you get like attacked by 6 or 7 zombies at a time, and then you have to kill so many, and then that helps you out sort of later on. So that
interesting.
It was quite interesting that the stories, fighting these zombies in a modern kind of setting, but the rules are slightly different in that one, so that was quite interesting. Quite enjoyed that one. Yeah,
I think one of my favourite facts, more generally about the series, something I found out not that long ago. Of course, they're written by Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson, and there is of course a Steve Jackson who's fairly well known in board game circles, designer of Munchkin, etc. That's Steve Jackson, and so there's a bit of, from what I'm aware of, people often think that that's the same Steve Jackson that's written the fantasy books, except it's not. It's actually another British Steve, another completely different Steve Jackson.
Is it? I didn't know that. I thought it was the same person.
No, it's not the same person, actually, which I discovered. It's another completely different Steve Jackson who wrote Ian Livingstone. But what's quite funny is, it is a completely different Steve Jackson, apart from 3 of the books, I can't remember which 3, which are written by the Steve Jackson of Munchkin fame. But of course it's the same name, so you've got no idea, no way of knowing that.
Yeah.
I think it's quite funny. It's not written by Steve Jackson, it's actually written by Steve Jackson. Yeah, that's a different Steve Jackson. So some of them say Steve Jackson are one Steve Jackson, and some that say Steve Jackson are a different Steve Jackson. Which I think is quite brilliant.
Yeah.
I can't for the life remember which 3, but... Yeah. I just find that quite an amusing fact.
It's a good way to pass on the time, isn't it? An hour or two to play a couple of those. I think even the older ones hold up quite well as well today. They can still read them and enjoy them and play through them just as well as you did 15, 20 years ago whenever they first came out.
Certainly.
Yeah, I need to see your collection at some point as well.
Yeah.
once we're let out and everything's back to normal.
Yeah. I'll bear that in mind. We'll hold you to that one.
Right. Well, thank you for joining me. Thanks for chatting to me today, Samuel. It's been a pleasure as always.
Welcome. It's been good fun. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. If you want to play games with us, or if you want to join us online for any gaming, have a look at the forums. That's probably the best shot. www.sheffieldboardgamers.com. You can find us on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. Have a look at all those places. Come and say hello. Hopefully things will get back to normal and we'll see you again soon. So until then, keep safe, keep well, and speak to you again soon. Okay, so bye for now.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.